in sacred space, to get these combat veterans and first responders to just fucking cry. Let's just get that shit off your chest, man. All that shame that you've been carrying, all that shit that you said you would take to your grave. Let's get it out right now. You're safe. Dude, viscerally, you can see people fucking, dude, I've seen people look like they're having an MI, like a heart attack. Guys have had seizures. I've seen guys shit themselves. Dude, trauma is stored in every ounce of our body, all that shame.
I believe
and that ego, man, it wants to fucking protect you. Your nervous system thinks you're gonna fucking die, man.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Purpose Over Pleasure with your host, Alex Payne. And today we have a great guest, a special guest, somebody who's a professional in his field, Matt Fiorenza. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. This
Glad
is great.
to have you. I've been looking forward to this one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. We'll see what comes out.
Thank you. Yeah, you came highly recommended.
Yeah, thank you.
And then I watched your documentary, and I was just like, I gotta get this guy on.
Yeah.
We have so much to unpack, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I'm excited, bro.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's introduce yourself, please. Let my viewers know who you are and what you do.
So my friends call me Maddie. So we're friends now, buddy.
Okay.
So
Thank
Maddie
you.
Fiorenza. Yeah. I was an Anaheim firefighter for 22 years, a medic. And I started to struggle with what we now are signs and symptoms of post-traumatic stress and PTS, and that kind of led me down a really dark path, and with the help of some really good people, we were talking about earlier with some combat veterans, man, they came back for me, and really they taught me what it was like to be a man and to be a good person.
Yeah.
And I started taking some responsibility for some accountability for some of the things I was doing. My alcoholism was out of control because that's what I was using to cope, substances, and they showed me how to take my life back, and then they held me accountable. So from there, I just, I after a suicide attempt, that's where I ended up, and I was able to make it back to work after that, which was, quite a miracle. And they said, look, man, like the fire service hasn't changed, but you have. So don't go back to work flapping your lips like you're better and that you've had this transformation or whatever.
Oh.
They said you fucking show them by your actions. You show them with your actions, not with your words. And those actions were, meditation. You know what I mean?
Meditation
Shit like
into
that.
the first responders field.
Oh yeah, it was. I got.
It's like rocket science.
Right.
To a kindergartner.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. They didn't know what to think, but I did it. I had a daily practice that I did without fail, and then guys started to say, man, something's different. Something's different. But a lot of it was just keeping my mouth shut. So I got into the behavioral health, world, if you will.
Yeah.
And I was taken, I went back to that suicide prevention program called Save a Warrior, and Jay Clark, who started it, was one of my mentors. So for 3.5 years, I was able to what we call shepherd, but it's a warrior-led organization. So you carry the men through the 5.5 day process essentially, and I loved it, man. I watched these guys come in just like I did, like ready to kill myself every day, and then watch over 5.5 days, dude. Like these guys have breakthroughs and aha moments, and we just created a space, full of just man shit, bro, which included a lot of love and compassion and empathy,
Not talked about amongst men often.
No.
Stuff like that.
No, it's, we have these, don't get me started, bro, but that's, we get vulnerable and we connect. And that's what we did. And we created a safe place for those guys to do that. And they did that for me. So I took some of those concepts back to the firehouse, and it was cool. And then slowly, instead of being the life of the party, the guy that's fanging the rookies at the table, being an asshole, right? Just, the big ego.
Yeah.
I did my very best to just, through my own story, like have guys started coming to me, man, and opening up about stuff, and then started to like develop this resource list of, and like just get aligned with some really really great people that are doing some really good work out there, and you know, it wasn't the fucking line, you know. I wasn't like USAR, nah, fucking, you know, hazmat, nah, behavioral health, mental health, okay. You know, I'll stand in that line. Didn't really go down that way,
organically
dude.
fell
Yeah,
into it.
yeah, totally organically, and through my own suffering,
Yeah.
right? And that's, you know, and that's kind of one of the things we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
When you can take your own suffering and make meaning out of it, you know, and what essentially that looks like is helping the next fucking person.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the whole purpose of that.
That's it, man. That's and when you do that, you know, your life gets better, and that's what these guys said, man. You help enough people get what they want in their life, and then you look at where your life's at, and man, I've come a long way. So yeah, I did that. I helped start a treatment center for first responders. That's been pretty successful because a lot of these guys are struggling with addiction on top of the PTS, and so was able to do that for a little while, and then I kind of hooked up with a board certified police psychologist in LA, who Dr. Gina Gallivan,
Yeah.
who
Shout out to
Gina.
To Gina, yeah. If she's watching this, thank you.
I hope so.
For making the introduction.
Yeah, because she's
She's great.
Yeah, man, on so many different levels, bro.
Yeah.
I had so you watch the film, you know, I had a suicide attempt after I went back to Save a Warrior, and I was shepherding, and I was like starting this treatment center with these guys, and I was out speaking all over, and when COVID hit, you know, I couldn't get in front of my symptoms, and I relapsed, and you know, I went back to that dark place, and that's where you saw the attempt that was significant, right? Where my wife intervened, and after that, man, I lost my purpose again. Like I just didn't know. Well, I did know I was going to retire, you know, and I had to go up medically, which is not an easy thing to do. And during that time, man, Gina found out. She's like, "Where's Maddie been?" Like, you know, and that woman showed up, like literally, like I had all these people that I thought, you know, cared about me, and that woman, she's like, "You're going to meet me at this coffee shop, or I'm going to show up at your house." And I'm like, "I'm not ready." You know, I was still like messed up, man. And she's like, "No, if you don't meet me, I'm gonna," you know. So her and my buddy Gabe Lira, he's a retired Hawthorne PD sergeant, and those between the two of them, they're like, "We know your purpose. We know what you're good at. We're gonna do something great," you know. And that's kind of what we've been doing on the preventative side, is just trying to get this culture of people to take care of themselves before the wheels fall off, right? That's the goal, is that they don't end up in a treatment center, right? The goal is that you know, and like I think you and I were kind of talking about it before, right? That the culture needs to change, and there's a lot of layers to that. There's a lot of layers to that.
There's a lot of layers.
But what I've learned, really, like I said at the beginning, was just what these combat veterans taught me, man. Men do things that little boys won't do, because it's the right thing to do, period.
Yeah, doesn't matter how you feel, you got to do it.
Right? You do some shit you don't want to do. Every day you get up and do some shit you don't want to do. And you think like first responders would be like when you think about them, right? It's like outside looking in. Man, these guys are a fucking mess.
Oh, 100%.
Like
100%.
you said, let's be real.
We just cover it up real good.
Yeah, dude,
Until it's too late.
We're good at pretending we're not pretending. But we have to have this persona, right, to go out there in the public and do what we do, right, which is fucking admirable, and we do it really well for the most part.
Yeah,
right? We do it pretty well. But the way we take care of ourselves and the way we take care of each other is fucking joke, man.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
And I'm feeling that way today, man, because a lot of the problems we have are internal.
Yeah.
You know, they're internal, and because of what this old school idiot thinks is the fucking right thing for his people. Meanwhile, they're fucking suffering, and they're looking for help outside their department because they don't trust their own people to fucking have their back, and that's bullshit.
That should have been the first thing you should be able to trust, but
right?
Me and you both know that doesn't happen.
Yeah. No.
I mean, Dude, you just in that one introduction, you just
Sorry, bro. That was the intro.
you just like covered. I mean, I was like vulnerability, ego, not be able to talk to your peers, and then kissing the bottle. I was like, oh, dude, I want to unpack all of that.
Yeah,
But
bro. Let's go.
let's start with let's talk a little bit more about the whole suicide stuff,
Yeah.
right? Because I think it was a breaking point in your life,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of times that's what it takes.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of times, me and you both know, once you pass the threshold,
Right.
there's no returning from that.
Right.
Luckily for you, right, you were able to return from that and
Yeah.
turn it around and flip it around and use it and weaponize it, and now you use it, as a tool to help others. So
Right.
walk me through what led you in that direction, because I believe there's a lot of guys out there.
Yeah.
I know for a fact, at least in our first responder field, right, you're a firefighter, I'm a
Right.
cop, who might want to hear your story and be like, shit, that's me. Or like,
Right.
that's me right now. And if I don't fix my shit, I'll be right next to somebody in the
Yeah.
grave. So
Yeah. It's. I mean, essentially. I mean, if we could take it back to the seed, man, to the root, it's all generational trauma, right? This shame essentially gets passed down from generation to generation to generation, and if we don't slay those giants as men in our own families, we fucking pass it down to the next generation, right? And like we don't have the tools. We're not taught this stuff. My fucking dad was a Marine. He was an Orange County Sheriff's deputy, Sergeant Medal of Valor. He has a fucking $35, Medal of Valor hanging in some fucking shadow box somewhere. The guy's dead at 53 years old. He had the big one, cleaning his golf shoes. You know what I mean? So this shit gets passed down, and then as kids, we take it out of love because our parents are God, and we gotta eat, right? So I'm carrying around all this shame, and of course, like, I'm an athlete, right? I played football. I gotta be the hero, the athlete, and then I fall into the same career, right? Except I choose the fire service, and now I have this uniform, and I have this tribe. I have these men that a pseudo initiation with these guys, and then I start experience the trauma of the job, right? Which is all that moral injury, and if it's not processed properly, the shit bag gets full eventually.
real quick.
And that's what happened. Essentially, the job was my identity, first of all. And I got stagnant. I was like, look, my goal was to be a firefighter paramedic. I'm good, right? That's never good for men.
Got comfortable.
Yeah, I got comfortable. I got stagnant. I found the cush position, and I was the senior guy, and I wasn't doing anything to advance. And I think we talked about it a little bit before. Like, I thought the end all be all was the fucking promotion, right? And it's not. There's stuff outside the department that we can do, and I'm looking at what guys, I'm looking at guys that are clinicians now, because they went to school while they were, instead of sitting in the big chair, on their days off, they were doing school and stuff. And
Firefighter guys.
Firefighters.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And I got stagnant, and the trauma started stacking up, and all the dissociated behaviors, which are like alcohol, women, all that stuff, I burned out
All the
my
glorious
marriage.
stuff, man.
Yeah, bro, all the stuff that makes you feel
We've all
good.
gone through it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it never was enough.
Yeah.
Right. And I burned out my family, and I had 3 sons, and went through a really bad divorce, and then I blew my back out. Right. And that's like the recipe for, if you look at the red flags for suicide, loss of relationship, giving up on a custody battle, which I did. I finally said, she can have them. Like, I quit. Financial problems, which, I didn't set myself up financially at all for an injury, and then an injury. So now it's like, how am I going to pay my bills? This is all I know what to do, and I was so out of my mind with drugs and alcohol. The voices get really loud, man. It's a trance. It's a trance. And if you have the ideation and it's already playing in your head, and then there's a significant event, a divorce, or
Tips it over.
that's it, bro. And now you're, and that's the space I was living in for a long time. And my first suicide attempt, I was trying to go out death by cop, which is completely fucked up on so many levels, because in being a shepherd at Save a Warrior, I saw guys carrying ghosts with them, which were people they had to take their lives because they wanted to go out that way, man. And I had to sit across from these guys and essentially, like, I got to make amends to the men who showed up for me that night, because they didn't do that, right? But I could have been a ghost for those guys. So
It's not a good feeling.
right? No, not at all. But the when I was, the significant one you saw in the film, where if my wife wouldn't have intervened and actually physically wrestled the gun away from me, and I wouldn't be here, man. And it's just that, man. I'm carrying all this shame. I've lost the identity of the job, and I'm injured. I don't know if I'll ever make it back. The voices really, there's this idea that people say that it's a selfish thing to take your own life. It's actually quite the opposite when you're in that space. You actually think you're doing, in your, because it's you're not in your right mind, right? So we were trying to rationalize someone that's suicidal with rationale, and you're not rational at all. You're in a dark place. I believe there's a spirit on you that's dark.
Yeah.
The voices get loud.
Yeah.
And those demons get loud, man, and they tell you, it's like, you'd be better off. Your family would be better off, and you start to believe it. Start to believe it. So it's actually in that state of mind, it's a very unselfish thing. You think you're doing, and you're in so much fucking pain, dude. I can never put into words how that day I had business partners that were separating themselves from me in something that I helped build that was going to be my retirement plan, right? So I had that hurt, which brought up a bunch of abandonment issues, because I wasn't ready to have a meeting with them. This all happened on that day. I'm in an outpatient program. I have all these PTS symptoms that aren't being treated because I refused to take the medications for a long time. And I had two choices that day, right? I was trying to go to sleep, right? Because I'm clinically depressed as well. And my two choices were, I'm going to pick up and use drugs to feel better, or I'm going to take my gun out of my safe. And I wanted to stay sober so bad that day that I opened my gun safe, man. And took my gun out, and the rest is my wife intervening and me ended up in a psych ward for 6 days after that, which finally, like, succumbing to taking, antidepressants and whatnot. And I had a lot of shame around that as well, because that's what they take out there, these people that we're dealing with all the time, right? That's
not me, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I needed it, man. Obviously. Who thinks that, right? Who's in that much pain that either I have to self-medicate or I'm going to kill myself. It's somatically, man, when you're experiencing signs and symptoms of PTS and you're trying to stay sober and you have all this mental pain, it becomes an option, dude. And you just want the pain to stop. You want the voices to go away. I don't know how else to, there's nothing I can ever say to put it into words on what that trance feels like, and for a lot of guys, especially first responders, you just add a little alcohol and it takes that inhibition away, and then you do it, and I've sat with guys, man. I've sat with guys that have made that choice, and I don't have the luxury anymore thinking that, shoulda, coulda, woulda, because the reality is, if you're not there to physically intervene, there's nothing you can do, man. There's nothing you can do. So what my purpose is today is to intervene way before guys even get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's just going back to what we talked about, man. It's about refraining from substances. It's about having good men in your life that hold you accountable, but don't shame you, right? That are doing things in their own lives to better themselves. You want to be the dumbest guy in your group. You want to be the most,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you got to take all that suffering and and you do it and you use it to help other people, man. That's what these guys taught me. And it's all, a lot of it is not, we were talking earlier, if you asked me if I listen to this podcast or that podcast, I go inward a lot for my inspiration and for my wisdom. And I feel like if I saturate myself too much with listening to other people's jam, if you will, like it cuts me off from source.
You know what?
Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and I'm gonna come clean to you. I do that a lot.
Yeah.
And my fiance, she is just always, it's like, stop watching and listening to other people. Listen to yourself, aka meditate.
Yeah.
She meditates, and I talked to you about this
Yeah.
too. I'm like,
Mhm.
remember the whole situation where I realized that my threshold of stress is just lost.
Right.
My threshold of stress is so far gone that I did not realize recently how much stress I can mentally register,
Right.
accept, and move forward, but my body is behind.
Right.
And I was like, that's kind of fucked up. And here, that
Yeah.
resulted in shingles. I had no idea you get shingles from stress.
Yeah.
I never had shingles, no chicken pox, none of that. And then I just go down like crazy with shingles all over my body. I was like,
Yeah.
and then my doctor was my friend's like, dude, I know how you are, because I've
Right.
done this to myself one time. I drove myself to the emergency room. No, to the point where I go see my friend. Is like, I want to prescribe you something unorthodox.
Right.
I'm like, what? For the next 3 days, I want you to stay at home on the couch, binge watch Netflix, and eat clean comfort food.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what do you mean, bro? I was like, trust me, I know how you
Yeah.
are. You're always out there 1,500 miles an hour. Like, I need you to do this. The reason why is because you drove yourself to be here in my urgent care right now.
Right.
So knowing me, he's like, again, bro, shingles come from stress. So I'm
Right.
pretty sure you did this to yourself. And that's
Mhm.
why I reflected on myself. That's why I reached out to you.
Right.
How random in the middle of the night, like, Matt, I got to tell you this. I think I'm
Right.
so fucked up with my threshold stress that I don't know how to control it. And
Right.
you're like, all right, brother, we need to bring you back to meditation and all
Right.
that, which I'm struggling with. I'm telling you, I'm
Sure.
struggling. I mean, I need some practice and some help with that. It's tough. I'm going to be honest with you.
Dude,
It's tough, man.
It's so hard.
To
It's one
sit
of the
there like
hard-
this for 60 seconds for me and just shut off my brain, it's hard
Yeah.
for me. It's hard.
Yeah. Well, we can we'll work through that, bro. I'll help you with that because
Thank you.
dude, nothing happens by accident. And the fact that when you text that night and you said that that's what you had going on, I'm like, bro, this guy's yeah, because your body remembers everything, man. Your
Mhm.
body, like, as much as you your mind wants to, and we try to keep up with that, your body it'll manifest and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I try to move on from that. I realize
Yeah.
just that one incident where I really, hurt myself when I'm pulling that dead guy out of the car,
Yeah.
through the little side passenger window. I realized, and I think I told you, right? I was ready. The scene was kind of code 4. Firefighters came, shut it down, and the guy's like being worked on by
Right.
paramedics. And what do? Look for work.
Right.
So I step aside, I grab a first witness, right?
Right.
I look for work, and I get my little booklet and my pen, and I look at my arms, and I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and the guy's looking at me, and I'm like, and I
Yeah.
do it again, and my arms are shaking, and I'm like, all right, give me a second. So I walked away, pretending I want to ask my sergeant a
Right.
question, and I did this, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening, dude?
Right.
And I did this thing, and I didn't feel the pain until later, and I'm driving home, and I realized, like, I think my threshold of stress is so far gone because of the shit that I've seen and done
Right.
that on autopilot I move forward,
Right.
but my body's like, hold on, dude, you just experienced a dump of adrenaline. I can't just stop shaking. You need to
Right.
process it. And I talk to people, and then here we are now. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
crazy.
dude, and to think that human beings like us, like our nervous system's our nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're no different than anybody else when it comes to that, right? We're all human. So to think that we can experience this level of stress and all this trauma as much as we do without any kind of intervention, and to think we're going to work for 30 years and be healthy it's
No.
bullshit. It's
Bullshit.
and to think, like, and the guys that are out there still, the old school guys that think that, things like meditation or, any kind of regulation of your nervous system is fucking woo woo or
Yeah.
bullshit. Dude, those are the ones that fucking die a year after,
Unfortunately.
yeah, it's sad. It's really sad. Or they're just,
Miserable.
yeah,
Just miserable, grumpy,
yeah.
just fucking.
I mean, how many guys do you know? I do
A
so many of
handful.
them
A
that are
handful.
like, fuck this place. I'm over I'm
Yeah.
over the department. Like, I can't wait to get out of here. And, and it's like, bro, what happened? But I get it. The thing is, our nervous systems are on fire. And I told you a little bit about my childhood. Like, mine was on fire before I even stepped onto the engine. So, but there are a lot of good modalities out there now, even for different treatments to get your nervous system regulated that need to be available to these guys. They need, it needs to be. Have you heard of the stellate ganglion block?
Mm-mm.
We're going to talk about that one too, because I think you might benefit from that.
Stellate ganglion
It's called
block?
the stellate ganglion block. It's
Stellate ganglion block.
Right.
Okay. Yes. I know what that is.
Okay.
In medical terms.
Right.
Because I was bio major, but I don't know the
Okay.
concept, so I definitely want to know.
Okay.
I,
It's an epidural
Mhm.
in that part of your brain,
Okay.
and it's a bundle of nerves essentially, and it
Epiganglion.
yep,
Okay.
and it hits the reset button.
Really?
Dude, changed my life.
Really?
I was locked in my apartment for 3 months, bro. 3 months, and I went and had SPECT scans done at the Heyman clinics on my brain,
Uh huh.
and then I flew to Chicago to this doctor, Dr. Lipoff, who's been doing it for a long time. The military's been doing it for a long time.
Of course they would. They have all the cool shit, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they do it prophylactically on the guys on the teams
Okay.
in between missions.
Okay.
I think that this should be something that, because it sounds crazy. It's like, but it's an epidural, the same epidural they do in your back for like a
Yeah.
bulging disc.
Yeah.
So like these things should be readily available to first responders.
Yeah. Definitely.
Especially
Yeah.
because after those chemical dumps, like it makes perfect sense that, but we think, oh my God, what's wrong with me? It's like nothing. You're human. You just experience a traumatic event after carrying a bag of it.
But
with you.
we fail to acknowledge it.
Of course.
Because why? Because if I acknowledge it, man, suck it up.
Right.
Man, stop being a bitch.
That's right.
And
You're
it's like,
weak.
who do we go? Like, I'm comfortable, just like you, comfortable to go seek, resources to
Right.
deal with it. But I guarantee you, some of the people I know are gonna watch this episode, but like, you just sensitive fucking little
Right.
girl, which I don't really care. But I wish those people had their mind a little more open
Yeah.
to different things.
You know what I tell those people when they come at me like that? What are you doing when the doors are down, when no one's looking, to shut this thing off? One of the things.
Yeah.
Exactly, bro.
Yeah.
So I ask them, shut them down right away,
Yeah.
and if they're honest with you.
If
Not gonna be- if they're honest with you.
One thing I do want to unpack a little bit,
Mhm.
and I think it's extremely important, not just for first responders, anybody, just for anybody out there, childhood trauma.
Oh, bro.
And I know we can dedicate 15 episodes just to that.
Absolutely.
But I think, in my opinion, childhood trauma is very important to deal with at a certain point of your life. Doesn't matter how old you are, especially in professions like ours.
100%.
Because if you give somebody the power to take a life,
Right.
to save a life,
Right.
or to change somebody's life,
Right.
or any kind of position of authority and power, right?
Right.
And if that person internally is fucked up,
Right.
man, that's a recipe for disaster.
And you want to know the funny thing?
Yeah.
The plot thickens, dude. Most of us in these careers have childhood trauma.
Oh.
It's why we're drawn to them.
All of us.
Yeah.
All of us. I'll confidently say that.
Yeah. It's a big issue, man. So have you ever heard of the adverse childhood experiences?
ACE?
Yep.
Yes.
So
I like that. I try to read up on it.
dude, it's making a comeback because there was a lot of data collected from that study that Kaiser did, and I'm a 9. It's not a test you want a high score on, right?
I haven't taken that test, but I was curious.
Yeah, look it
I
up.
know about the test.
Adverse childhood experiences
Yeah.
test. You can Google it and see
Yeah.
the 10-question test. Well, when at Save a Warrior, right, we have combat veterans and first responders that are suicidal
Yeah.
with PTS,
Yeah.
right? And we came across that. When I say we, Jay Clark and his group came across that study. And because we were doing a lot of somatic work, and there was no clinicians there, and there was nothing documented. You know what I mean? We were having a hard time getting funding for grants and stuff
Because there's no data.
because there's
No
no data,
official
and there was just
data,
no hard, So
Yeah.
we had so we started using the ACEs test
Uh-huh.
as a measuring stick,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
The average score was a 6.
Amongst who? Amongst.
Suicidal veterans and first responders.
Oh, damn.
Average score was a
Damn.
6. So
That's
basically,
average.
that's average. And they say you're like, I'm going to mess this up, but it's like you're like 1,000 times more likely to commit suicide if you're, or complete suicide if you're a 3 or above. So, and then my wife and I started doing a couples retreat, or not a couples retreat, excuse me. Started doing a spouses retreat for first responder spouses.
I
And
heard
guess
about
what?
those. Yeah.
Guess what?
What?
Their average was a 5. So the plot
For both spouses. Or
so
like
yeah, the
average.
spouse was a 6 on average, and then the spouse is a 5.
Well, it makes sense because it rubs off on
There's
your
a trauma
spouse as well.
bonding.
Your trauma. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that they also have childhood trauma. So
Yeah.
so I say all that to say basically, dude, you're right, and we're doing a disservice to these guys by everybody has a pre-employment screening, right? Where
Yeah, which is a joke if you really ask me.
Yeah,
it's so surface level.
well, it's to protect the cities,
Yeah.
right? It's to protect the cities. We need to start looking at it like we need to protect these people that we're bringing into the job. And if we start looking at it that way, and this is when I say I think outside the box, like cities don't. We want to protect us. We don't want to hire some shithead.
don't
Well,
you
guess
give
what?
them
All
an
these guys are fucking.
Yeah.
All these guys are coming in with
Yeah.
childhood trauma. So why don't we do it in a way that sets them up for success?
Give them an ACE test.
Give them an ACE test, and then maybe So I say we got to front load these people with therapy and different modalities of stuff to get them mentally healthy before they get sworn in, dude.
You're
because
asking for the impossible.
I love that, bro.
You're asking for the impossible.
I love
I'll tell
that.
you right now. I'll tell you right now. How long has it been since you've been off?
So my last day on the job was 2021.
Okay, so I'm telling you right now. I don't know how it is for firefighters, but for law enforcement, the last few years, especially since 2020, the
Right.
whole George Floyd fiasco,
Right.
man, like departments nationwide are struggling, and the pool to choose from is like the bottom of the barrel,
Yeah.
dude. And then from that, you have to choose somewhat competent candidates and
Right.
front load the whole incentives, this and that,
Right.
which I'm not against. So this is where we are today.
Right.
So I am terrified to see what will happen 5-10 years from now.
Yeah.
Because if you continue lowering standards, and that's a fact, look at our education
Right.
system, look at our pharmaceutical medical system,
Right.
where you continue lower standards just to get the proper hiring amounts.
Right.
I'm not saying all departments. Some departments are better than others, right?
Right.
But in general, it's gonna 5-10 years from now when these individuals, right, these rookies, and then they get
Yeah.
settled in 5-10 years from now, add on top of everything we discussed earlier,
Right.
childhood drama with all the experience in the PTA,
Right.
that's a recipe for disaster.
Oh, it absolutely is. We were already seeing it. And I don't. It's almost like it's part of some kind of plan. And I don't want to get too weird on your show, bro.
No,
but,
dude, please be
we're-
open.
but our it's crazy what's going on in the world right now, especially in this country, man. It's almost like they're trying to. It's almost like taking a bunch of ants and shaking the fucking box
yeah,
in so many different ways,
yeah.
just to watch everybody fucking go bananas and destroy each other or something. I don't know, man, but you look at it just in our
weird.
little paradigm. It's the craziest social experiment.
I like to look at things and look for patterns. Like
Mhm.
I love history,
Okay.
and I understand history,
Mhm.
and you're a fool if you don't know your history.
Right.
Certain number of decades, certain things happen. It's very cyclical,
Mm-hmm.
and unfortunately, we're at the point where something really bad needs to happen for us to wake up. Just
Mhm.
like that book right there, Hard Times Create Strong Men.
Mm-hmm.
Strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times.
Right.
So we're at the point where weak men right now are creating hard times,
Mm-hmm.
and it has to get really, really bad for us to like, hey, let's wake up. Like we need men here again. And me, this whole podcast dedicated, I talked to right about
Yeah.
masculinity, freedom, entrepreneurship. I blame men for all of this.
Yeah.
If I were to blame one party, I blame men.
Yeah.
And my goal is to empower men and shit, man, make men great again.
Yeah.
because I think when a man is strong and in his right and masculine and natural and God-fearing and family-oriented,
Right.
right? Everything else will straighten out.
Right.
Family, society,
Right.
country, the world.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's, I mean, I'm a spiritual guy, and you know, and the destruction of the family
Oh,
is always
nucleus.
we can destroy the family, then we
It's
have
done. Everything will
Right.
cripple. Yeah,
Right.
it's done. It's a fact.
right.
I went through the higher education system here. When I had my bachelor's and my master's. It wasn't until I graduated grad school and I finished, I was like, I get a little hints of indoctrination. I was
Yeah.
already older. I was in my 20s. I was
Uh-huh.
like, this is, I felt a taste of it. Now,
Really?
when I talk to, like, I have a niece, and
Mhm.
I was like, dude, and I look at some of the stuff that the tests and stuff. I was like, they're not even hiding it, dude. It's like
Right.
straight up, just like, this is bad, this is good. Think our way. If you think anything in our way, you're bad.
Right.
And it's crazy. And so they're putting that on them, combined with social media,
Right.
combined with all the influencers out there, and you have recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, I have three sons that are pretty, I was their dad, of course. I am their dad. So they're pretty, they're loving, you know what I mean? They're loving dudes. They're very loving and accepting. And that's, we're that kind of family, but they also call bullshit on bullshit. You know what I mean? They're not fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So,
They're men.
right.
How old are they?
They're 22, 19, and 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're
becoming a man.
they're getting there. And what the cool thing is that so far none of them, especially my 22-year-old, this kid's I can drop him in the middle of some third world country and he'd figure it out.
Good.
Like he's that kind of kid. He's not a school kid.
Yeah.
But he's
Street
fucking
smart.
And that kid is gonna build some kind of business that's gonna be amazing, like, and with no college.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I wouldn't waste my money on that shit right now, anyways. You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, you're right.
Dude,
I'm
zero.
telling you, I probably would not have done it again if I were to go back in time.
Yeah. I mean, he's like, learn a trade. You want to learn business? Go find a business guy and fucking do everything he
Find
does.
a mentor.
A mentor, exactly.
It's a shortcut to success. It's like a stairwell to success.
Right.
Elevator to success, almost.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, I think it's kind of where I'm at right now in my walk. I think, I feel like I have the passion for it. I know my purpose. That's hard for people. I think people, trying to help someone find their purpose is a difficult thing to do because that's something, like I said, that's within. You gotta find something. It's usually, I tell people, look, find, what is your shame? What do you want to keep in the dark all the time? Like, you put light on that and you overcome it and you go help somebody else overcome the same thing. And that's kind of the direction I kind of put people in, for finding purpose. But, for me, it's about, right now, because now I'm retired and I'm, like I said, I know my purpose. I have the platform for the most part. I've been in the trenches. I know the problem.
22 years. You've been in the trenches.
So now it's like, finding the right people to align myself with, that have my same core values.
Yeah.
That's not that easy of a thing to do, man.
No.
You're pretty lucky. Sounds like you got some people in your life that are, you're aligned with.
I am blessed. I'm not gonna lie. I'm blessed to be able to meet people like yourself, or Gina, or Jonathan. Shout out to all of them. There are also people that I have in my life, but it's work in progress, and I had to change myself first.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like didn't fall in my lap.
Right.
It's not until I changed myself. I worked on my childhood trauma. I still do to this fucking day.
You have to, bro. It's a lifelong
and
thing.
I chose to leave a lot of people behind.
Yeah.
Not purposely. I chose to free myself of the same restricted ways of thinking and kind of do a lot of self-work. That's when the right people start falling into my life, and I'm blessed.
Good for you. That's awesome.
I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
You win a jackpot tomorrow. You build that $1 billion jackpot.
Oh,
Like you
shit.
don't have to work at all for the rest of your life. Everything is paid for, provided for you, your family, your loved ones.
Right.
What is it that you would do for the rest of your life? What is that one thing you would do if you didn't have to worry about money at all?
That's a great question, bro. I would do everything I could to help solve the suicide crisis in this country.
You realize you just answered your question of purpose, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That is an admirable goal.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah, man. It makes me want to cry.
that's deep, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And not just for first responders, man, just for human beings, dude. There's a solution, you know. And I think what you do is part of it, you know, having these conversations and, you know, it's sparking the listeners out there that are looking for their meaning and purpose in life, and because we all need it.
Mm-hmm.
It's how we're created.
Mm-hmm.
We're created to have meaning and purpose, and it's not just money, right?
No.
It's about leaving a legacy behind, you know. And yeah, man, I don't want people to be in that much pain. You know, I'm an empath and I was a healer. I'm a wounded healer, man. I was a medic for 22 years. Like it's what God wants me to do.
But don't you think people need pain?
100%, absolutely.
Pain and suffering. You
Yeah.
have to have
Right.
a level of pain and suffering
So-
in life.
Yes.
I've never met a person who I respect and admire or has accomplished something successful and worthy of admiration in life who hasn't gone through some fucked up things in
Right.
life.
Absolutely. There's no question. I think there's a level of compassion in men that is missing. You know, it's like men are scared of it.
We're isolated from each other.
Right. Yeah, because you know, compassion's when you meet someone suffering with love, and men somehow we've lost.
Yes, we have.
We've lost that fucking. You know, it's like, nah, man, that's. You know what I mean? I got my little empire over here. I got my buddies. It's all surface shit. Like I'm not gonna go sit with someone that's suffering and just douse them with empathy. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I don't want what he's got. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's man shit right there, man.
We're
sitting
lonely
with
islands,
people.
man. We're
Yep.
lonely islands.
Dude, look at the way houses are built,
Yeah.
right? I was just talking to, actually Gina taught me this. You know, they used to build houses with huge front yards.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because it promoted community. Like you wanted your neighbors and the kids and everybody to be over, and everybody was kind of like in their front yards. Now everybody, like the front yard's up to the fucking street, and the backyards are massive, and everybody's isolated in their little cubes. And you know, the opposite of addiction is connection. You know,
The opposite of addiction is connection.
Mm-hmm.
Elaborate.
You know, these dissociated behaviors and this dark, you know, place where we get caught in these loops of just more,
Yeah.
you know, or at addiction, happens in isolation. It doesn't happen
That's
when
very true.
we're connected, bro.
That's very true. All the destructive behaviors men go through: drinking,
Right.
porn, video games, overeating,
Yep.
cheating, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I
This
think
is what we're supposed to
for
do.
men, we're supposed to do, first of all, we're supposed to do hard shit.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Like that builds character.
Right.
You know, women can go and chit chat and, you know, have mimosas for brunch or
Right.
whatever they do.
Mm-hmm.
We bond over doing hard shit.
Right.
Like we bond going to war.
Right.
You know, doing hard shit and then coming out of it and building a relationship. And I think what happened is back in the days, like our fathers, grandfathers,
Mm-hmm.
right? They fucking went to war.
Right.
Right? They bonded, but they didn't have the resources to now heal themselves and each other after
Right.
that. Not many.
Right.
Now, we don't even have a fucking war to go to, right?
Right.
Or a battle to fight. Now we're just weak.
Right.
And now we have resources, but we're not taught how to use it.
Right.
Instead, what do? We're like I mentioned before, right? Pornography, drinking,
Right.
drugs, addictions and
Yeah.
escaping.
Right. No, 100%, bro. And sometimes what a hard thing to do for a man is to go to another man and say, "Man, I'm in a lot of fear today." You know,
Yeah.
that's guys don't want to. They don't want to admit that stuff to each other. Now, I run in circles where I feel comfortable with the men in my life to say that.
I noticed you came in like right from the top, and you were straightforward about it. Like, hey, man, I'm not in it today. Just one of those weeks, and you didn't try to cover it up, and I appreciate that because if you could try to cover it up, you might have done a good job at it, but I would have probably felt it.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
now that not you coming forward and being open about it, which was a lesson for me that I also opened up myself to you, and I was like, man, he's just being him.
Yeah. Thank you,
There's
man.
no
That
like
means a lot.
surface level bullshit. So I
That means a
appreciate that.
lot because I really, I believe that's one of my core beliefs, man, is that we got to be authentic, and so show some humility, man. And it's not me walking in here, feeling the way I'm feeling, putting on a fucking mask, dude. I just it's not. I really work hard
Yeah.
at being being my authentic self, and you our body, like 85% of our language, right, is nonverbal, and I, because of my meditation practice and because I believe that God puts people in your life for a reason. Like this didn't happen by accident, bro. And then you talk about, it was Gina and Jonathan's your butt, you know what I mean? It's like, okay,
It's a community now.
right.
Yeah.
And I could feel that somatically. So I'm not going to come in here and if you would have been like, oh no, bro, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, we're going to do this anyways. And just, I don't know. And here we are, man, like having a really awesome conversation about the real shit. Like I spent way too much of my life, man, pretending I was someone else and trying to appease other people in the crowd. And I just can't do that anymore, man. I have a true self in there. We all do. And, life is about this subtraction, dude, not this addition. It's subtracting, going inward, and through service to others, and being authentic, man. Like you get to live on this planet harmoniously and as best we can, because I'm fucking still crazy.
I think all of us are to a certain extent. I'll tell right now, all of us are to a certain extent are crazy, man. I think everybody wants to be themselves, but they're too scared,
Sure.
too ashamed, too fearful of just being themselves because they're afraid they're going to be judged. They're not going to be accepted. Everybody wants to fit in.
Yeah.
I was that guy.
Me too, bro.
I was that guy, man. I always try to fit in, and it really bothered me that for a longest time, I couldn't fit in until I was like, I looked at the groups that I wanted to fit into. I looked at those people's lives, and not to say anything about their lives, but I'll ask myself, do I want to be like that? Do I want to have that life? And I started getting the answer is no. I was like, no, I don't want to fit in. I'm just going to be me. And I became so much happier. I'm not everybody's best friend.
Right.
I don't have a great number of people, but best friends.
Right.
I have a handful of solid people. That's all I really need.
Yeah.
But I'm me. I'm authentic. And I know if I fuck up, they're going to be like, Alex, you're fucking up.
Right.
Like, fix your shit.
Right.
That's all I need.
Yep. That's it, man. That's the shit right there. Because
why is it that in our fields of first responders, we don't do that?
Oh, bro. It just breeds, well, number one, we all wear a uniform. So there's a level of
my shit don't stink.
Well, that and wanting everybody to to fall into line and follow orders, right?
Yeah.
Like you all wearing the same uniform. We have this, we have our rules and regs, and this is what we do. And I think the young guys coming in, they see that and they think they have to be a certain way. You can't. It's hard to deviate because you don't get the promotions. You don't get in with the cool clique. You don't get invited to the river trips. You don't get to do the quote unquote what the cool guys or the cool kids are doing. I was in the military, so I don't know how it is there, but it's a difficult community of people to be authentic and be yourself. And
Yeah,
I really think so. I
it
think,
is. No, I agree with you.
guys are like, I want to be fucking, those training company guys are fucking badass. I want to be, I want to be like those guys. And it's like, yeah,
Everything has a cost. There's
100%.
some of the guys that I know, that I respect, great guys, um, fantastic in certain fields, right? Whether it's tactics or firearms or something, or just go outside of law enforcement
Mm-hmm.
work, right? Just absolute best in something. And then you look at their personal life,
Mm-hmm.
and it's shit.
Yeah.
You look at their health, and it's shit. You look at the relationship with their children,
Right.
and it's shit. Or kind of like you, right? Track record of garbage, and then
Right.
finally come to realize like shit. If I don't fix this, I'm gonna eat my own gun.
Right.
Which is actually good. So I was always like, kind of let me take a little bit from Matt. Let me take a little bit from this person. Take a
Yeah.
little bit from this person. Not the whole thing because it comes with garbage, but
Right.
just the best thing, and put it in my toolkit.
Yeah.
Put it in my toolkit.
That's good. That's good. I think the whole, like we were talking about, the whole mentorship thing. Like I really, I feel like we promote guys based on some fucking test,
Mm-hmm.
when these motherfuckers haven't even, who have you mentored? Like, what other men have you fucking taken under your wing? You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about fucking, taking them to the river and fucking drinking beers with them and going on the boys trips and shit. That's not mentoring. Like, take a downtrodden fucking rookie who's struggling, who's everyone's talking shit about because you're about to fucking take that kid
Mm-hmm.
and fucking turn him into something great. That's mentorship.
That's tough too. That's very tough.
Right. And it's not, it's like, it's easier to be like, that kid's a piece of shit. We don't fuck, let's fire him, like whatever. No, why don't you fucking take that kid under your wing, and why don't you teach that kid everything? Because a monkey can do this fucking job. Let's be real.
Yeah. No.
I mean,
yeah. A robot.
all my brothers, professionals out there. I mean, bro, it's like,
It's not rocket science.
it's not.
It requires a touch of human behavior and
Of course. Of course.
feelings, but it's not.
It's not rocket science.
Rocket science.
And so we rather fire that kid and then really like take the time to mentor that kid and get him up to where, or her up to where we need to have them, man. That's true leadership in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree
You
with
know,
you.
and it's not just fucking being in the bro club and taking a few tests and doing well and getting a couple extra points because your buddy's fucking, you know what I mean, and now you're getting promoted. Now you have some authority over these men. Dude, the reality is, dude, we need to mentor these people and in a real, in a real
Real life
Yeah.
scenario type of thing. Yeah, not just surface level artificial stuff. Yeah, no, I get it. I
Bro,
think
we're going all over the place, dude.
yeah. No, I think overall, our fields are. Like, I love first responders
Yeah.
field. I always I talk shit about firefighters,
Right.
but I
That's okay,
respect
bro.
I respect the
That's
hell out
okay.
of firefighters. I think we're on the same team.
Yeah.
I never really separated us. I think we work hand to hand,
Yeah.
and we have to. It really irritates me when certain departments, certain cities have this beef going
Yeah.
on. Who's bigger, better, or
Right.
whatever. Shit talk, yeah, to a certain level, but I think we're on the same team, and
Sure.
I think both of our just jobs are very admirable, and it's a very rewarding job, whether it's law enforcement or
Sure.
first responders, medical, emergency, paramedics. It goes unnoticed a lot of times, though,
Yeah.
because we've created this image
Mhm.
and persona through social media and Hollywood,
Mhm.
right? That these stupid shows that are out there
Right.
that is all artificial, but underneath all that, we need a lot of work.
Yeah.
We need a lot of that generational trauma
Right.
work. We need a lot of like, hey, let's talk family, let's talk children, let's
Right.
talk what's in your mind. Like, why are you showing up to work every day like an absolute piece of shit?
Right.
You weren't like that 5 years ago,
Right.
but now you're just a different person. Like, why?
I agree. Yeah, I love that, man, because you're spot on. And I think to myself a lot of the time when I'm in my head about, how to make things better. It's about thinking outside the box, man. And I think you hit the nail on the head. We need to go back to the basics, right? It's real simple. It's not as complicated as I think it is, right? It's about going back to the basics and teaching these folks how to be good people, good husbands, good wives, good fathers,
It all starts,
good mothers.
yeah, with you and at home.
That's it, man. Like, we've gotten really far, and that's a lot of it too. Is like you said, it's all surface. It's all material solutions to spiritual problems, and just keep filling that hole with the next big truck, or the next addition to the house,
next
or the next
gun,
toy, or the next
Next mistress.
right.
Yeah, been done
And
that.
that's a big deal. A lot of guys don't talk about that, and I was there, man. Like I ran with that group. I burned down a marriage because of choices I made like that, and now, dude, I'm remarried. My wife and I have a great relationship. I love her to death. I wouldn't do that. It's just like for so many different reasons. But if I think back to that time, how fucking stressful it is to have a relationship with another woman outside your marriage.
Yeah, it's
just that
work.
alone, bro.
It's work, man.
Yeah, it's all for what?
It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
it's not worth it.
No,
you lose everything. As a man, dude.
Yeah,
it was everything. It was everything. Your pension, your house,
right.
your everything. It's like that's a whole different other topic. How the society is like so double-sided, towards men, and it's a lost situation.
Yeah.
But what I do want to ask you is that's a whole different episode,
yeah,
man.
Dude.
What I do want to ask you is this, and I'm trying to extract value from you, so
Yeah.
my listeners can. In your training experience, right? You work with men who are just experiencing, PTS and all the hardship, and they go through personal trauma. What roadblocks do you see the most? Like, and how do you break through them? Because I know for a fact, man, just men in general, we're fucking stubborn assholes, dude.
Yeah.
And especially in our field, that's like 10 times worse.
Yeah. The ego, man.
The ego?
Yeah. And what guys don't understand is that a lot of us have childhood trauma. We talked about that, right? That's where that ego gets built. And that ego is set up as a protection mechanism. It protects us, man. So we
don't allow to be ourselves to be vulnerable,
right?
Okay.
Yeah, we have all this shame that we cover it with fucking shit, right?
Yeah.
And then we hide it.
Yeah.
And then we put on this uniform,
closet.
and then we have this massive. So we end up with this ego, but it's just a protection. It's a protection mechanism.
Insecurities.
Yeah. Oh, all that, right? And so we get to the point. A lot of these guys where the alcohol doesn't work anymore. They've been found out for they're doing all these dissociative behaviors to make themselves feel better. They bought all the toys. And they've got this ego, and then you lose your identity as a first responder because you get injured or you get in trouble or and now what I was taught is that it's this whole athlete warrior thing, right? There's these archetypes. So the athlete just wants to look good, right? The warrior wants to defeat, conquer, and collect the rewards, right?
Okay.
And basically what these guys taught me is that that's a shame-based culture. That's first responder world. Shame-based
culture.
Shame-based culture, but just they just want to athlete warrior. Just want to look good and defeat, conquer, and collect the rewards. You get caught in this egotistical loop of shit, right?
Yeah.
But what these guys taught me is that to be of service to others without expecting anything in return, right? Without your uniform on, or being a statesman, is how you get yourself out of those limiting archetypes, right? It's all ego-driven, shame-based, and then that when you're doing that, it kind of gets you into the spirit. We call it the universe or God. I call it God, whatever. Wisdom, it comes from being in the trenches, showing compassion with people when they're suffering, like stuff like that. And so the biggest blocks is that ego. It's like I'll have guys they've burned their lives down completely, and they still won't take any accountability. It's everybody else's fault, and they won't take any direction. And it's like, bro, with all love and kindness, you're the one that's in this fucking you're in the situation.
You create this mess.
You want to kill yourself every day. But you're arguing with me right now about how to get well. The ego is it's it's a big deal. It's a problem, but it's a protection mechanism. Like, it's in sacred space, to get these combat veterans and first responders to just fucking cry. Let's just get that shit off your chest, man. All that shame that you've been carrying, all that shit that you said you would take to your grave. Let's get it out right now. You're safe. Dude, viscerally, you can see people fucking, dude, I've seen people look like they're having an MI, like a heart attack. Guys have had seizures. I've seen guys shit themselves. Dude, trauma is stored in every ounce of our body, all that shame.
I believe
and that ego, man, it wants to fucking protect you. Your nervous system thinks you're gonna fucking die, man. And I get it. So that's the pinch point, man. Getting people to have a breakthrough, it needs to be done when it comes to suicide and first responders. It needs to be done in a safe place with the right men.
Damn, man, you went in deep into this one.
Yeah, sorry, dude.
No, it's all good. I'm just processing. It's how can we? I still, at the end of the day, just like you, I care about my brothers and sisters.
Yeah, of course.
And I want to see the best for them because, number one, they're human beings, right?
Yeah.
Some of them were there with me when we were in absolute deep shit, and handling business, right?
Right.
But that's only a handful, let's say. But
right.
There's a million of us out there, millions. If we can fix them, how many people they can fix out there in return?
Right.
Millions.
Yeah.
It's a domino effect.
Right.
You fix one person, that person's going to fix another one, and 10, and then it's so on and so forth.
Yeah. Well, in generations, bro.
Generations of what?
Generations, your own family. When you heal yourself,
yeah,
you heal 7 generations in front of you and 7 generations behind you. This is what I believe.
How? Okay, in front of maybe, which is questionable. Behind how? How do you heal?
I just feel like our ancestors are out there.
Yeah.
There's just, we're part of the same DNA, man, and these things get passed down and passed down. So when we slay those giants, when we're here on the battleground, Earth,
it gives them peace.
Yes.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
Because their truth, this is my, right? They know the truth now. They know the truth.
You think?
I know.
What about the ones who are stuck in between the two? They haven't made peace. Do you think we?
I think we on Earth get a chance to make peace for them.
No pressure, huh? Okay. All right, man.
Well, I mean, man, we just
responsibility.
And there's only so much we can do, right? But that's what we can do is get to that point where, because you're talking about a midlife crisis or whatever. As men, I think we come to a point in our lives where every man does, where you go, okay, man, it's not about the stuff anymore. So either you kill yourself, or you suicide on layaway, alcohol, drugs, sex, whatever. You know what I mean? Or you make a decision to live out your life's purpose. You go within, you find those parts of yourself that, your true self, mm-hmm. however that looks, mm-hmm. through some kind of suffering, mm-hmm. and you come out on the other side, by helping other people a better man. Yeah. And you pass that on, and then hopefully my boys see that, and they don't make, they are a little bit better.
Yeah. Moving
down the line.
I'm just everything you said is 100% true, and I agree with you, at least in my opinion. And that's why it infuriates me when I see these men out there, right? Fine. The cards that have been dealt to you are not the best. Like my dad was alcoholic and out of prison, just create, hair like trigger temper.
Right.
Just, he had his demons. So I would have two options, right? Be like him or be me and work on myself, which took me at least 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like the person you see now is a way different person.
Right.
This overnight success or change
Yeah.
took a decade.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
So when I see these men out there who just pathologically passing on their fucking generational trauma onto their
Right.
children, and then they have the audacity to say, I love my children.
Yeah.
Like, motherfucker, first of all, first and foremost, if you're fat and your child is fat, that's your fault responsibility. Like,
Right.
I have no excuse for that. And it pisses me off when I see fat fathers and with their fat children. You are now set your child up for failure, because this child's going to be bullied, called fat, called pig, and
Right.
throughout life. God knows what happens behind closed doors.
Right.
You took that bullshit that was given to you from your parents, right?
That's it.
Granted,
buddy.
you didn't chose it, but now you're passing it on to your child, and you have the balls to say, "I love my child." No,
Yeah.
motherfucker, you're lying to yourself,
Sure.
and that pisses the hell
They
out
don't.
of me.
They
man.
don't know what they don't know. Yeah.
But at
Dude,
some point, you have to know.
Well,
I
yeah.
think.
Well, because here's the other thing too. We live in a society of fucking victims.
Oh God, don't even- God, don't
Dude,
even start me with that, 'cause-
I never thought of myself as a victim until a little old man. He's one of my mentors. Told me, you're a little boy, a scared little boy in a fucking type A man's body. And you're playing the fucking victim. And he pointed out through my character defects what that looked like, man. And he's like, I thought you were going to kill me. And you know what? And then I started to look at my cycle, man. And every time I'm in that washing machine, dude, I end up playing the victim. And I had to get out of that victim mentality. But we live in a society that fucking celebrates
glorifies it. Yeah.
victimhood, dude. I mean, he's like, and that's the thing, right? Just, I'm going to love on you. I'm not going to shame you, but you're going to fucking take the right steps to get yourself better, and you're going to stop playing the fucking victim.
So this is where me and you differ. I will shame you. I will shame the fuck out of you until I trigger. Well, this is how I am.
Right.
Right. I respond, and I'm not saying everybody's like that,
Right.
but I respond to internal triggers. Like I am,
Sure.
what I do is I purposely choose painful comments, words, things that are done for me, and I weaponize that. There's a great book. This is why, you know Patrick Bet-David? He wrote
No.
a great book called Choose Your Enemies Wisely.
Okay.
So I fell in love with that book because subconsciously I've been doing it all my life. I would take somebody's comment or action towards me, and I'll weaponize the shit out of it, and I'll use it as a source of fuel
Okay.
to push further. And it's been working for me so
Right.
far. So maybe because of that, I choose to sometimes not necessarily shame, but I'll trigger the shit out of you.
Right.
I will pick on your scab until you wake the fuck up.
Do something
I wouldn't
about it.
do it to make me feel good.
Right.
Maybe I've done it. I'm sure I've done it. I was a piece of shit back in the days.
Right.
But now, like, okay, cool. Maddie, okay, there's a scab. Let me pick on it. Let me
Right.
pick on it. Oh, it hurts now. Well, are you gonna deal it? Are you gonna
Right.
heal with it? So that's kind of like me.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm an asshole, but that's my style.
Right. Whatever works.
Yeah.
Whatever works. You know.
It works
That's
for
what-
some people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. You know, I really, I learned this through my relationship with God, and that certain words are spoke over people, when they're little, and they that becomes a belief system that they carry through their. Dude, I've held fucking, Navy SEALs as they wept, dude, that their fourth grade teacher told them they never amount to anything.
Yeah.
I watched the fucking air come out of the room when one said, man, the shit I put myself through just to belong and fit in with other people. Buds.
Here we go.
Fucking
again.
war.
Fitting in.
Yeah, dude. Because someone spoke a word over them that was, not from God, So I take the approach from love. I come from a place of love as much as I can, because for so long I went after people's fucking, that was my end, dude. I fucking found your weakness, dude, and I'm gonna exploit it and make everybody laugh. That was just, but I see where you come from. I understand, like if you're using it to motivate somebody, I could see that. It's just, that's definitely, I used it for so long to hurt people. I had to really switch up the way I, but I'll at the same time, I'm not going to co-sign your bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want me to be a mentor for you, and you want me to sponsor you in some way, I'm not gonna co-sign
Yeah.
your bullshit, and I'm gonna tell you straight up, what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
But it's to benefit you, and I'm gonna do it with love. Like, that I'm not gonna go to the next group of guys and talk shit on you. I'm not gonna, that's all
Yeah.
shit's
No,
sacred. Like, that stuff's
that's
sacred. But
how man should be. You
oh,
know,
dude,
what irritates me sometimes, Matty, is that there's been times where I offered help, and okay, I'm not a president of the United States, right? But my time is valuable to
sure,
me, right? I have 9 to 5, the business, the
yeah,
podcast. I have my own hobbies, right? I have my relationship, which I value
right,
tremendously, and I work on. So if I carve out the time to help you, and I'm willing to dedicate myself to that
right,
person, which I do, I mentor young men out
mm-hmm.
there. So I'm selective because of my time.
Right,
But just recently, there was a situation where this guy is just like, I mean, him and his wife, dude, it's falling apart.
yeah,
They are falling apart. Marriage is falling apart. They have a child, and both of them admit like it's going downhill to the point where we don't know how to like hold on to it.
mm-hmm.
So we offered them help, right? I offered the dude some help. My
Mm-hmm.
fiance offered the wife some
Mm-hmm.
help, and we were able to carve out the time. So whatever, just between me and the
Yeah,
dude, has scheduled me with a guy. Cancel. He got sick. Happens.
right,
Reach out to him again, like, hey, I'm here for you if you need me. Like,
mm-hmm.
I'll meet with you. I'll talk to you. Yeah, cool, man. I'll let you know. I'm
Yeah,
done.
yeah,
I care about him, but I can't run after you to
right,
help you. I really do, but I'm not gonna go
yeah,
fucking knock on your door and be like, dude, like your shit is falling apart. You told me in front of your wife,
right,
crying, that your shit is falling apart. Like if that was me,
right,
bro, I'll put everything on pause. I'll be like, please help me.
right,
And that's what pisses me off too.
yeah,
So there's people like you out there who help people, but there's people out there that I know just don't want to fucking seek help, and that what frustrates me.
yeah. And I learned a long time ago that a wise man once told me, Maddie, we can't save them all, but we can teach them to save themselves. And I took that to heart, man, because I'm an empath and I'm a healer, and I want to help everybody, but I have to set boundaries. And there's a certain again, my time is also valuable,
Yeah.
and I will take the phone calls, and I will, but if over a period of time all you want to do is play the victim and want to tell me that fucking story over and
Yeah.
over and over again,
I'm done.
yeah, then I have to tell you, man, I love you, but you gotta take some action here and do something, because there are people out there just addicted to drama, and they just want to tell you that story, man. And it's like, you're caught in that story. Stop telling that fucking story.
To make themselves feel better.
It's there's a lot of things, dude. It's a process addiction. First of all, a lot of people with high ACEs scores
Mm-hmm.
are addicted to drama. They go after their own internal drugstore, their own chemicals,
Interesting.
drama, gossip. There's a ton of them in the fucking police station,
Oh,
in the
dude,
fire.
don't even get me started
Right.
about the shit talk.
Yeah.
Oh
And-
my God.
It's a process addiction. It's like gambling or porn, or you're going after your own
Yeah.
internal drugs. And that's playing the victim, man. It's just drama, and
it's suffocating.
yeah,
It's
and
very
a lot
suffocating.
of people get caught in those loops, like, and even like, for a while. And this is one of the things that my little sponsor Greg, I was telling you about, the little old man that said you're playing the fucking victim, was like, bro, he's like, don't let this PTS thing become your identity, man. And he's like, you can get better, and because there was a time where I just thought I was going to be anxious and clinically depressed and hypervigilant, and want to just sit at home in a dark room and fucking play solitaire all day, because I was just so full of fear. And he's like, man, you can get better, stop playing the fucking victim and start doing this and this. And I was like, okay. He's like, don't identify with that shit. It's just, and there's a lot of people out there that are starting to identify with having PTS, and that becomes the story.
Yeah.
Right?
And now it's like fucking, oh,
Now it's just a
PTSD,
fucking
oh,
racket.
bipolar, oh, this, PTSD, this,
Yeah.
it's fucking, everything is just so abused nowadays, man.
Yeah.
Now it's like, really? Do you?
Yeah.
Do you?
Right.
It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
What are you? I had a question for you.
Yeah.
Kind of lost my train of thought there. Oh, how can first responders? Let's just dedicate it to first
Mhm.
responders, right? Because work on themselves. Like, what should they be doing on their off time
Mm-hmm.
to at least be consciously aware of that they're falling into these toxic cycles and behaviors? Because some of these dudes and gals in general,
Mm-hmm.
just we're so preoccupied with our job. And it's the job, it's the overtime, it's the money, it's the escape from home. Like, I can't stand my fucking wife at
Right.
home, all that. And then just get consumed by it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what can we do in order to be like, all right, let's just get out and look at the job from the outside?
Mm-hmm. It's a great question. Daily practice.
Such as?
Daily practice, bro. It's different for different people. I'll tell you what my daily practice looks like. Every day, I get up, I grab my phone, I read my devotional, I slide down on my knees and I pray.
Mm-hmm.
And then I walk into the other room and I do a 5 to 10 minute meditation. And then I get up, I grab a cup of coffee, I drive to a 12-step meeting. Go to a 12-step meeting, now I'm ready for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then throughout the day, there are other things that I do. I try to connect with God
Mm-hmm.
At different times throughout the day. And then I at least 2 to 3 people, I pick up the phone and I call, like I was at a thing yesterday. I saw a guy who from my church that's kind of struggling. I call him, how are you doing today? And I listen. And those are things that I do for the most part without fail. Like, and I've incorporated other things. Like, I have so many tools in the toolbox now, but it's about introspection. It's about self-care. And it's not packing the family up and taking them to the river, man. That's a lot of work. Like, you have to do this stuff, like at night. So I have that daily practice at night is a 10th step because I'm in recovery. So I think about my day. Do I owe anybody an amends? Was I selfish, self-seeking, self-centered in anything I did today? And do I owe someone an apology? And then I always have a book or two by my bed. And for me, I pick up the Bible. I read the Bible, and then I have like right now I'm reading the book of the clinician, the doctor who came up with EMDR therapy. She wrote a book.
Mm-hmm.
I geek out on that stuff. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
So I'm reading her book.
EMDR is interesting.
Yeah. It's like voodoo, but it works.
I've recently been reading about it and watching stuff about like brain scan, neuroscience, where they're realizing it. We're so used to treating mental health illness from a behavioral perspective that now we have the tools and the ability to scan the brain and look at the picture in color to realize, okay, now this shit looks wrong.
I could show you my brain scans. Changed my life, dude.
Really?
And I found I had TBI. A lot of us have
Explain TBI to people who don't know.
It's traumatic brain injury. And a lot of first responders have undiagnosed TBIs because we were all athletes.
Yeah.
We've all been in fights. I mean, how many times you get punched in the face, bro? On the job.
Dude, I've probably
or rolled around on the ground with somebody.
Mine.
Right. I did.
Never done mine.
And so Dr. Amen from the Amen clinics, he does SPECT scans, and I went and had these brain scans done, and that takes the stigma out of it, man.
Yeah.
And it was right in my prefrontal cortex, so I was able to see some of my behaviors and go, okay, that's why. And then now I have a treatment plan of, I take all these different supplements, hyperbaric chamber. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do to heal your brain, and I love that you brought that up, dude, because he says heal your brain and your mind will follow.
Right.
A lot of stuff can be healed. Your brain has neuroplasticity. Your brain can heal itself. Prayer, meditation is scientifically proven to shrink your amygdalas, restore your neural pathways. Like, this stuff is all eating healthy, the right the right supplements, because our fucking land is so raped of all the nutrients that in their food doesn't get a lot of things that, you know, like magnesium and stuff like that. So, dude, you're spot on. And that takes, you know, I'm living proof, man. You know, because I told you I was on 6 medications because I needed you. I'm on 2 now. And the plan is to get off all of them.
You can change so much just through proper diet.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. Once I simply cut out alcohol at the rate I used to drink it, I drink now a glass of wine here and there, right? I'm not an angel.
Right.
I enjoy it.
Right.
And like processed foods, especially carbs, bro.
Yeah.
Life changing.
All
Just
that.
a pattern of thought, clear
Yeah.
energy levels, inflammation,
Right.
these feelings of grogginess and tiredness. Like
Yeah.
I'm not on a carnivore diet, but I eat a lot of protein and fats.
Right.
And in the carbs that I eat are like fruits and, you know, here and there some pasta and stuff, but life changing.
Yeah.
Just that itself. And I maintain my weight. Like I haven't done a pull up or a bicep curl in like a month and a half or 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still in decent shape. I'm
Yeah.
still about 16% body fat or so. I lost muscle mass, but
Right.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Just by cutting out processed foods and alcohol.
Yeah. And alcohol, you know, like I said, I don't want to be a downer. I'm in recovery because I'm a true alcoholic. But
no shame. My dad was an alcoholic. My brother was an
Yeah, no,
alcoholic.
I'm in
I had that
recovery.
gene in me too.
Yeah, I'm in recovery though. I don't, you know, I don't make that a secret at all. I actually
No.
prefer to tell people that, but
You own it.
totally.
Yeah.
But dude, it was my alcoholism that pointed me in the direction of my recovery, and that's where I've learned so much.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this thing that I was so shameful about, man, I'm just gonna die this way. When I asked for help and I found the right people, and you know, I worked the steps and I did that whole thing, and I'm a part of that community now. It keeps me out of that dissociative behavior. Like it's all about, you know, community keeps us out of those behaviors, whatever that community looks like for you. And that's one of the communities I'm part of. But alcohol, dude, it cuts you off from source.
Yeah.
They call it spirits for a reason.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and
yeah.
I mean, I got into the rooms of recovery because I wanted to stop using drugs and alcohol, right? And then I was taught there that those things were cutting me off from what I call God or source. And now one of the biggest reasons why I don't drink is it's not because I'm going to lose my family and I'm going to burn my life down. It's because I don't want to be cut off from God, wisdom. Because that's if you can tap into your true self and that whatever you call it, the universe, God, I call it God, that wisdom, dude, the wisdom starts coming up when you can settle your thinking down enough, and that's where meditation comes in. You know, you settle that thinking down, the wisdom comes up, and when you're sitting and something comes to you, like, where'd that come from? You know, like that's why I told you,
man. I gotta start. Shame on me.
I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you a technique where it'll keep you occupied enough to be in the zone. I'll teach you.
Thank you. I want to ask you, doing that up to the breaking point in your life where you had to change, did you love yourself?
No. Hated myself. That was part of the problem.
How do you know you hated yourself? And how do you know you love yourself now?
That's a fucking great question.
Some people don't fucking know.
Right.
So.
Well, I know I hated myself because I wanted to kill myself every day. And, you know, I tell people that I'm sitting with that are suicidal, man, if you kill yourself and you make that decision, you're killing the wrong person, man. Because that Maddie would have killed this Maddie. And this Maddie loves himself today. I love myself. You know, if I were to die leaving here today, I feel like I would go on to the next place I call heaven. Yeah. And God would say, you were doing everything that you're supposed to do. Like I love myself because I don't drink today. I don't watch porn. I take care of my family. I'm a good husband. I'm a good father. I show up for people, strangers, like, and not with my uniform on, right? I stay connected to God. I connect with him every single day. And I just, because I do that daily practice every day and I have this introspection, and most days are filled with, filling my heart and my soul with helping other people.
Yeah.
It just it makes me love myself, man. I'm finally can be the authentic Maddie, and yeah,
And that's a source of love right there.
that's it, man.
You're just being you.
That's it.
Just being you.
Yep. And I get to hang out with guys like you and do cool shit like this.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
Yeah.
you. No, it's interesting because a lot of times people they lose track of who they are,
Mhm.
and I think sometimes by the time they wake up, they don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
And then how do you figure out who you are in your like 40s or 50s?
Yeah.
And how do you figure out who you are in your 40s and 50s and you lost everything?
Right.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, I've come across some dudes who are like, dude, I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
And I feel like an imposter talking to a dude in his 40s, like who's over a decade older than me, telling him how to live his life.
Mhm.
I don't know shit.
Yeah.
I got here. That's all I know.
Right. Well, you know more than you think you know, and I think that's about the age, man. That's about the age.
Oh,
about,
I love 30s,
you're
man.
no, you're lucky. You learned it a little bit earlier.
I think I learned it late, but I wish I learned it in
No,
my
I think-
20s.
Well, they say, yeah, me too. Of course.
I wish.
But I
I would
didn't
have been
know
a
shit.
multi-millionaire right now, helping like a lot more people.
Right. Well, it happens when it happens,
I
right?
thought I knew everything.
Right.
Thought I was a shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I fucking knew it all too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you got to go through that transformation. It happens around 40s now. Like I said, you call it, the
Is that the
midlife crisis or
Is that
whatever.
what it
But
is?
the truth is you get to the point in your life where you start thinking like, okay, I'm starting on the other end, right? Like we were just invincible up into a certain part, and then I think there's just something, that true self inside you starts tapping away at you, like,
Man, that
like,
thing was tapping away at me
Yeah.
for years. It was
Stuff's not
making me
working.
miserable.
right, you're not your
Yeah.
authentic self. I'm in here,
Yeah.
and if you don't let me out, it's gonna kill you.
Man, I have an episode dedicated to that. It's called The Inner Voice.
Yeah.
That thing was crawling at me for years,
Yeah.
just bugging me every single day. No matter how much I drank, no matter
Mhm.
how many women I slept with, no matter how much porn I watched,
Right.
parties I've gone through,
Right.
cool shit I've done on the job, right?
Right.
Dude, every day is just like,
Yeah.
every day to the point like, why? And then you physically become sick. You're always
Sure.
sick. You're always feeling fucking miserable. You're always trying to silence it with all these outside
Mhm.
factors until one day I'm like, I fucking had enough, man.
Right.
I had enough. And all I did is I didn't do anything special. I grabbed my balls and I decided to do what I love doing and
Right.
being me. That's all I did. There's no rocket science. Like
Mhm.
that's how this podcast came about.
Right.
Voice is gone. It's
Yeah.
gone. I have self-criticism. Some days I'm like, man, I didn't do shit today. I'm a lazy
Right.
bum. But that
Right.
feeling of hate and disgust of myself,
Right. Yeah. Because you got up and started doing the right thing. Right. That's what, have a daily practice and do the right thing.
that's subjective though.
Fuck, I don't.
Like define the right thing.
The right
'cause-
thing.
Yeah.
I think
'Cause
innately,
we're
bro.
so
we all know.
twisted right,
I know.
tolerant right now that what's a right thing, Maddie?
Yeah.
Like, because right thing
I think-
nowadays
I
is
know,
can be
I
some
know,
crazy
fuck.
shit like 14
Oh,
and changing
man.
your own gender. That's a right thing to do.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just come from a place of love and truth.
Truth is
Well, I'm a Christian, man.
Same.
I know I don't sound like one because I've been cussing an awful lot during this thing. I'm really working on my vocabulary, but
me
I'm
and
very
you both,
passionate
brother.
at the same time.
Me and you both.
But the truth has a certain ring to it, man. It has a certain ring to it. You just know. And man, a lot of people are afraid to speak truth.
We need that.
I know.
I think as Christians, and I'm saying this as a Christian,
Yeah.
I was baptized. I was born in Muslim country. I have family who are Muslim, but I was
Mhm.
baptized, and I chose to stick with that path to
Right.
God, right? Christianity. I could be a Muslim person, I could be
Right.
whatever. I just chose to stick with it. But I'm familiar with Islam, you
Right.
know, briefly with other religions. We became way too tolerant.
Yeah.
Christians became way too tolerant.
Right.
And it's not playing in our favor. Like, somebody has to draw the line. It has to stop somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, when I see indoctrination of children, when I
Right.
see sexualization of children, when I see satanic like rituals on stage, when I see them mocking God, God was transgender, God is non-binary.
Right.
Like, who the hell are you? Like, I put you back on the dark ages, you would have been crucified.
Right.
You would have been dead, like
Right.
with your head cut off.
Right.
It infuriates me. Like, where are we gonna draw the line?
Yeah.
When it's too late, or are we ever?
Well, I think God can. He's the only one that can.
He's the only one that can. But
And
then,
I think we take ground, man. We take ground, and the church that I go to, I love it. I love it. It's out in tents, and it's really spirit filled, and we don't give up on our country. We don't give up on California. We don't give up on people, and we ask God to intervene, man. And like you said, dude, the pendulum is swung this way.
yeah.
It's gonna swing back, and God can change people, man. He changed me.
Can I check it out? Can I come to that?
Hell
church?
yeah, bro.
Yeah, I want to check it out.
I want you to.
I did have when I was in my late teens, I did have a spiritual awakening. I had this moment. I don't know what spiritual awakening, but I had this moment when I was in church, and they were singing a gospel, and dude, I just started crying.
There you know, dude.
Something came upon me, man.
It's the Spirit of God, my
I
brother.
had to walk out, and I started crying. Dude, I'm getting emotional
Yeah.
talking about it right
Yeah.
now. But see, like, dude,
good,
I
bro.
don't know, man. I don't even know.
That's the
And
Spirit of God, brother. That's the Spirit of God. I love it. Yeah,
it's
man.
crazy. And just, yeah, I remember that time, and I believe in God, man.
Yeah.
But I also believe that I'm a realist,
Yeah.
and I think God works through us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think at some point, you know, I believe, I might be wrong. I'm not the type to turn my second cheek to if you slap me on the first one, but I am the type to be. I would like to think that I'm the God's weapon of choice or
Yeah.
tool of choice, because sometimes there's things called necessary evil. I think I might be wrong. I don't know shit. I'm
Yeah.
only 35
No,
years old, but I like to think that as men we need to be those sometimes,
Yeah.
because not everything is sunshine and rainbows. And
sure,
as we're waiting for
absolutely
God
not.
to come
Well,
back,
we live in a fallen world.
we live definitely in a fallen world,
Right.
my brother. We
But
definitely do.
our church hosted the largest water baptism in American history over the weekend
No way.
in Huntington Beach.
How many people?
I got to look at and see what the number's up to right now.
Yeah.
But
On the
it's
beach?
on the beach in Huntington.
That's
and
crazy.
they had it with a bunch of other churches around California,
Yeah.
where they did it as well.
Yeah.
But dude, I watched a move of God this weekend. Like, and our pastor came from Idaho. He said when everybody was running to Idaho, all these Californians
Yeah.
giving up on
I've
California.
been to Idaho.
Right.
Yeah. I like
He
Idaho.
said it's the safest state in the nation, right?
But they hate Californians now, dude.
Yeah, because
They're
a bunch
starting
of
to hate Californians.
well, they come with their politics.
Yeah. Like, I have a house in Texas, and my friends are like, hey, man, tell your people not stop coming here.
Right.
They're
You have a
messing
house in
it.
Texas?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
They're messing. Because I always want a house in a red state. So if something
Right.
happens in California, I'll pack my shit. I'll pack my people in my car, and
I have
out.
a buddy who's selling.
out.
He's selling parcels in Texas right now. And
Really?
Yeah.
Parcels.
Yeah. 8. We'll have to talk afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah. 8 acres.
Okay. Yes. we have to talk.
150,000.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Yeah.
I just want a house like one in Texas, one in Florida. Just good, solid, Christian, God-fearing,
Yeah.
capitalistic,
Well,
places.
and me too. But like I said, I really do have. I have such a faith, and this church that I'm going to right now, that we can take ground here in California, and we can see an amazing move of God in this in the state, because, I really believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I faith without works is dead, or so we have to work towards.
You gotta have faith.
Absolutely,
You gotta
dude.
have faith.
Oh, dude, I definitely do, and I really do feel like I said, I watched a bunch of Christians on the beach. I saw a buddy of mine get baptized yesterday, and it is the best thing ever, bro. It's the best thing ever.
Can I get baptized again?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I was just curious.
Yeah.
I was a little kid when I got
Yeah,
baptized.
I was raised Catholic, and I was baptized as a little kid as well. This is different. You're making a conscious decision,
Yeah.
But hell, dude, I would love that, bro.
That will come with responsibility though.
Well,
If I choose to get baptized,
yes and no.
I feel like I will never be able to. I would have to stand strong by my faith. Because there are times, I'm not gonna lie, I thought about I can go Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful religion. It's
Mm-hmm.
a misunderstood religion, but it's a beautiful religion, and I grew up around it. But I feel like if I baptize, dude, I'm gonna have to like die Christian,
Right.
no
That's
matter
okay.
what.
And this is what I believe. There's no other religion whose God isn't in the grave. Our God isn't in the grave, bro. The grave was empty. He resurrected.
Hmm.
500 people saw him. Guys were boiled in oil.
And
They would not
smiled,
denounce.
and
They would not denounce him because they saw him,
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
and he's still here. He's
It's
still here,
crazy.
bro. The Holy Spirit is still here, and he's still moving. And if we just open ourselves up to let him, bro, you come to my church, bro.
All right.
It's out in tents. You feel it. I wasn't looking for a church.
Yeah.
People are prophesying over each other. Like, people are getting healed. Like,
Yeah.
it's the real deal, man. And like I said, I wasn't looking for a church, and
Yeah.
and then a year later I was baptized, and
I'll come.
and come, man.
Yeah.
He changes us from the inside out. And
Yeah.
a lot of people are in darkness right now, and they don't know it. They don't know they're being used by, like, demonic. They just don't.
That thing is real.
Oh yeah,
I've sensed just evil energies from people, and man, God has protected me. But there's some evil out there.
bro. Let me tell you about a call I went on one time. I went on a call in Anaheim, deep, and I walk into this apartment, and they have that big statue of the Grim Reaper,
Mm-hmm.
with all the beer and just the whole shrine to this, and I felt, like I'm really sensitive to that stuff. So, and they had like these white doves. It was creep. There's some shit going on.
Yeah, yeah.
And grandma was there, and dude, she was fucking possessed, bro. She was so sick, and her vitals were all fine. Her fucking blood sugar was good. Her fucking EKG came back. We could not physically find anything wrong with her, dude. And I'm like, we took her to the hospital. I'm like, this woman she's possessed by something, for sure. It was a trip.
Riddle me that.
Yeah. And dude, I felt like I needed a cleanse after I walked out of that place.
I can't say I've ever walked into a situation on a job where I felt like that twisted stuff, or like straight like death
Thank
type
God.
of vibes. But I've dealt with people directly, right? People I had to arrest who were just absolute evil. Just you can sense that their soul is corrupt and
Right.
dark.
Yeah.
And I caught myself that I would have no remorse for that person.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that that's wrong, but it's just that was the vibe I was getting. Like, this person deserves to
Yeah.
die. It's almost that bad.
Yeah. But that's where the faith comes in, right? That I can't, he can. I'll let him.
Do you believe it's righteous in the eyes of God to take a life of an evil person?
Oh man.
Because I've asked myself that question
Yeah.
before, and I've actually been in situations where I'm responsible for a person's life.
Yeah,
for a
bro.
person's
Like,
life.
that's.
you know?
I mean, you have to ask yourself that question, right? I've never had to. I mean, if someone was gonna hurt my family,
Oh, no question.
I would fucking.
No question.
Yeah.
I'll sort it out
In a
with God
second.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'd have to on a whole different level because of what you do, right? But I'll tell you this much, man. And I've been with warfighters in sacred space. It's not natural for one human being to take another human being's life. It's just not.
It fucks you up.
Right. But there's ways to turn those ghosts into ancestors, man. In the right, And I say ritual, not in a creepy kind of way. Just but we had it mastered at Save a Warrior, and I watched these guys, honor the lives they had to take.
Look at my skin. Look at
Yeah.
my goosebumps.
That's
Bro.
God tickling you, bro.
I just felt something crazy, man.
Yeah.
You're seeing this, right?
Well, he's in the room, bro.
I don't know if it was. I had a wave of terror and a
Yeah.
calmness of peace.
Yeah. He's in the room, bro.
I felt like that was like an evil that just left the room, and then
Yeah, quite possible.
that's a trip, man. That's a trip.
Yeah, man, he's in the room. Good stuff,
We're gonna
buddy.
talk about this one.
Yeah, man, we've run the gamut, huh? Yeah, it's good stuff.
This was interesting.
Yeah.
But you were saying you
No, I think-
I'm sorry that
No, I think
interrupted.
if God, God's all called us to do something right in our lives. I would have to say that, like I said, if someone was going to hurt another person or a family member, I wouldn't have any problem. But it would suck, and I hope I'm never in that. I hope I'm never in that position. But but it's not natural. My dad had to take someone's life. That's where he got the Medal of Valor. Guy shot his partner, and my dad was held up with this guy and had to kill him because he wouldn't surrender or whatever. And
Yeah.
I fucked him up, man. And he was in Vietnam. I don't know what happened over there.
That was a dirty war.
Right.
That was a bad war, man.
Yeah.
And we lost that one, that's for sure.
Yeah. Isn't all war?
True, but just again, I'm a little bit of history geek, right?
Yeah, no,
Viet Cong operated their guerrilla warfare based
Right.
off Sun Tzu's Art of War,
right,
and they were fantastic at it, and we were not prepared.
right,
We were technologically superior.
right,
We were not prepared for Viet Cong's resilience in the jungle,
right,
combined with Sun Tzu's Art of War.
right.
And we got our asses handed to us.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say.
My uncle, 19 years old, he was killed over there. He's a Marine.
Sorry to hear
Followed
that,
my
man.
dad there, yeah. You want to hear the fucked up thing about how he was killed? He was killed by our own guys. My uncle was gung-ho. And a bunch of guys were fucking drafted. So he was killed by our own guys because he was gung-ho and wanted to go fight. And these guys didn't want to. Shot him. Crazy.
In the firefight?
Right here.
So in the firefight or
No. And there was some bullshit that came back that he was cleaning his weapon and it went off or something. But my uncle, who was another uncle of mine that was there, said he was killed by our own guys.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, war's nasty, bro.
Yeah.
I like to think that I don't know, man. God. We just need God.
We need God. Yeah.
We do the best we can while we're here. I don't have answers to those big questions. But yeah, if you carry the means to take someone's life on your hip for a career, man, that's like, you got to ask yourself those questions, right?
Every day.
And if the powers that be don't understand how that takes a toll on a human being and doesn't want to support them in every fucking way, shape, but that's necessary, it's criminal in my opinion. Because if you take your law enforcement officers and you fucking make them super resilient and you support them, think of how that's going to trickle out into the community that they serve, right?
It'll make it so much better.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And damn, we went a real deep on this one.
I
But
know.
before we end,
Yeah.
what you just said flows perfectly with what I'm about to ask you, right? How can people, first responders, firefighters, law enforcement officers, ex-military, right, people with PTS, how can they find you? I feel like you're sort of a shepherd for them in this dark world. Let them know, and I will tag you,
Yeah.
and on the post and everything, but how can they find you? Or what advice would you give them? Or, it's like a two-sided question.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I have an Instagram. It's fireman because I have a penis. And
Oh, you identify as a straight man?
yes. Yeah.
Christian?
Fireman.
Okay.
Christian. Yeah.
All right.
I'm white.
I'm glad you
fucking
cleared that up.
Italian, Irish.
You're an enemy.
I'm the fucking devil.
You're the
right
enemy,
now.
dude. You're
I
the
know,
devil.
I'm the devil.
You're the devil. That's
Over
why I
here
had the
talking about-
goosebumps. You see?
yeah.
That's
Over
it.
here talking about peace and love.
I know.
I'm the
I
fucking
know.
devil.
I know. You are.
Yeah.
Both of us.
It's fireman_Maddie on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay.
And just I check all my messages on there. Yeah, I actually have a kid that reached out today on there that, so usually we just start a conversation on there, and then I'll give you my digits, bro, and then we could take it from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like I said, I'm a plethora of resources. Can definitely point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
I'll listen to your story once
Without judging. Without judging.
without judging.
Yeah.
But after that, you're gonna get some suggestion.
Yes.
But sometimes I have one conversation with people. They just want to be validated, man. But yeah, that's how you get a hold of me. And then the second question was,
What advice would you give to first responders who may be battling or not battling or new to the field, just in general, to be able to stay resilient, healthy, emotionally mature, and just be able to cope with their with the stress that comes with a job?
daily practice, man. Have a daily practice.
Positive daily practice.
Yes,
not like
positive
drinking
daily
and
practice.
shit, right? Something
Yeah,
productive.
something with introspection, journaling, gratitude. If you're drinking too much, work some steps. Find a sponsor. Find a group of men that have what you want. And I'm not talking about material things, right? I'm talking about the way they fucking keep their word, and the way they walk through their life, and the way they help other people, and the way they are to their families. And look at those things, and then ask them how they did it, man. Ask them how they did it. Go help somebody else. And what I like to tell people as well is, like, go find something you love doing and go give it away for free.
True.
Right? Because
that's meaning.
the career's going to end. It's a season in your life. You're going to hang up the turnouts. You're going to hang up your sound brown. And then what? Right?
Back to being you.
So find out who you is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you need help, reach out.
Yeah.
Reach out and ask, man. There's just no shame in asking for help and asking people how they did it, man. And maybe giving up some dark parts of yourself that you've been hiding, that you just need to, off gas. So
Keyword is no shame in asking help.
zero.
Yeah.
Just ask the right people.
Damn, man. Well, listen, thank you for being here. Thank
Yeah,
you for
thanks,
coming.
brother.
This was a great episode. I loved it. I hope you loved it. I hope
Yeah, I did.
all of you guys are viewers.
Oh,
I
there's
wasn't
people
even
there.
paying attention to them. I was zoned into you.
I know, bro.
I hope you guys found value in this. Thank you for being this journey called life. Thanks for being part of this. This is for you guys. I'm not being selfish, and Maddie's here.
Yeah.
We're here to help. Reach out. I'll make sure to drop your information, the podcast, wherever I posted. But if you guys found value in this episode, please share it with those you believe might need it.
Yeah.
Maddie,
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah, bro.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
That was awesome.